EliGE is officially a free agent. I can't say that I'm surprised, but EliGE's time on FaZe has officially come to an end after just 8 months as things just didn't click. From my perspective, it wasn't his firepower that was the issue, as he's currently sitting in the top 20 highest rated players of this year. So there's no doubt in my mind that EliGE is going to be in high demand for any team looking to add a proven rifler. With FaZe's new addition Jacob already being announced as his replacement, in this video we're going to answer the only remaining question, which is, what team makes the most sense for EliGE to sign to? Let's start with what's likely the most obvious option, which is a return back to Team Liquid for EliGE, as it's no secret that similar to FaZe, they've struggled so far this year to win any trophies. Bringing in EliGE would immediately upgrade Liquid's overall firepower while adding a player with proven experience to help them close out games, which has been a real issue for Liquid this year. Just looking at the recent 2 matches against Team Vitality, 3 of the 4 maps went to overtime, so it's clear that Liquid still has the skill to hang with the top teams. Pairing EliGE with Twist sounds like a much more dangerous duo on paper compared to Twist and Nerds, and when you compare the stats of EliGE and Nerds for this year, the numbers back it up. EliGE is basically outperforming Nerds in every major stat this year with the new rating 3.0, such as having a higher kills per round, damage per round, as well as having a higher overall rating on both the T side and CT side. EliGE reuniting with his former team would help give them the X factor they've been missing throughout this year, with his ability to create space and take duels, taking the pressure off players like Twist to hard carry. So I wouldn't be surprised if we once again see EliGE back in a Team Liquid jersey. Moving on, let's look at another potential landing spot, which is Passion UA, the team that recently signed the former Complexity core -60 after it was announced that Complexity would be leaving the Counter-Strike scene indefinitely. This move makes sense on paper as it reunites him with his former teammates that he already spent over a year building chemistry with, so the transition process would be much smoother compared to joining a brand new roster. During his time at Complexity, they peaked right when EliGE joined, getting 2nd place at IEM Sydney and then back-to-back semifinals exits at the Blast Fall Final and ESL Pro League. So there was actually a point where that roster was competing against the very best teams, but towards the end of his time there, the results started to cool off, which ultimately led to EliGE joining FaZe. Now that EliGE is once again a free agent, there's definitely a path to him returning to that roster, but if I'm being honest, I don't see it happening simply because EliGE strikes me as the type of guy who enjoys seeking out new challenges and would want a new roster for him to build up with. It could be that later down the line, we do see this roster reunite with EliGE, but for now let's take a look at some other potential destinations for EliGE, like NAVI. This is another team that's looked like a shell of themselves recently after being one of the most dominant teams in Tier 1 since the start of the decade. And it's now approaching a year since we've seen them lift a trophy, with the last one coming at IEM Rio back in October of last year. With JL leaving the roster and Makaze stepping in as a rookie, NAVI immediately lost some of their firepower that was needed to compete with the top teams, and their recent loss to 3D Max, which is further proof that NAVI are lacking the consistency to make a title run. Blade of course is known as one of the best coaches in Counter-Strike, and just seeing how he would implement EliGE into a system would be such a cool thing to watch. So in terms of a roster move that I would really want to see happen, this one probably tops my list. The combination of EliGE and Big could give this roster the much needed spark it needs, and while it might take some time for him to adapt to the new style of play, the payoff could be massive. When you compare the stats between EliGE and Imma, you can see that EliGE is heavily outperforming him on the T side, while only slightly underperforming on the CT side. So I'd say on paper this move would be an upgrade for NAVI if they do decide to make the change. The final option we're going to be looking at in this video is Heroic, as they recently made headlines for potentially losing Tenier to Team Spirit $1.5 million. Losing a player like Tenier would be a huge loss, especially with Heroic trending upwards, even taking down the likes of Team Spirit recently. If Heroic want to continue to have a competitive roster, then signing a proven player like EliGE would make a lot of sense, especially considering the fact that Heroic have a lot of younger players on their roster who would benefit from the leadership and guidance from an experienced player like EliGE. With that said, let me know in the comments what you think makes the most sense for EliGE's next step in his career, and while you're down there, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.